Rain fell like an old song over the rusted roof of the diner. Outside, the wind pushed torn leaves and scraps of paper down a lonely highway, and every flash of lightning lit the puddles like mirrors of forgotten time. Inside, the air smelled of burnt coffee, grease, and quiet despair. A couple of truckers whispered at a corner booth. A waitress wiped the counter half asleep, and a young girl sat by her mother, drawing on a napkin with a dull pencil. Then the door opened. The metallic bell cut through the stillness, and every head turned. A tall man stepped in from the storm, water dripping from his leather jacket, scarred and faded by years of road and wind. On his back, a patch carried the weight of 1,000 miles, Hell's Angels. He said nothing, but his silence spoke louder than thunder. And without knowing it, that man and that child were about to change each other's lives forever. Stay till the end, because this story proves brotherhood is louder than fear. Her name was Amara Johnson, 11 years old, with eyes that seemed to see beyond the cracks in the diner walls. Her mother, Lena, worked endless hours serving strangers who carried fatigue heavier than their words. Life had taught her two things: survival and pride. The biker's name was Ryder Cole. He sat alone, far from everyone, his hands rough, his face a map of losses. He ordered steak and black coffee. No smile, no talk, just the faint comfort of warmth reminding him he was still alive. The murmurs began almost instantly. "One of them," someone whispered. "What's he doing here?" said another. Amara watched him closely. She didn't see danger or threat. She saw exhaustion, and in her small, innocent heart, a tired man deserved kindness, not fear. When the check came, Ryder reached into his pocket, pulling out a few crumpled bills. He hesitated. And that was when Amara rose from her seat. She walked quietly to the counter and placed a few coins and a worn $5 bill beside the receipt. "I'll pay," she said softly. At first, no one heard her. Then silence swallowed the room whole. Lena froze. "Amara, no," she whispered. But the girl didn't stop. She looked up at the biker with the kind of courage that innocence gives. The courage untainted by the world's judgment. Ryder stared at her for a long moment. Something stirred inside. Something buried deep beneath years of noise, smoke, and regret. He didn't know what to say. He simply nodded. When he finished eating, he folded a bill and left it on the table. Then he turned to her and said quietly, "Thank you, little one. Not all heroes wear leather." He walked out into the rain, leaving the smell of engine oil and gratitude behind. That night, as thunder rolled across the distance, Amara fell asleep dreaming of engines roaring under the storm, She didn't know it yet, but her small gesture had traveled far beyond that rainy night. By morning, miles away, the low growl of engines echoed through a fog-covered valley. Inside a dim garage, Ryder stood before his brothers, men of the road, scarred by time, hardened by silence. He told them about the girl, about the innocence that had looked past his vest and seen the man beneath. "They see us like monsters," he said quietly, "but she saw a human being." No one spoke. A heavy stillness filled the air, broken only by the hum of cooling metal. Finally, one voice said, "So what do we do?" Ryder looked up. "We remind her that the world still remembers good deeds." Engines roared to life, one after another, until the earth itself seemed to shake. 40 motorcycles moved as one, riding through the mist, not toward vengeance, but toward redemption. If you believe loyalty still has meaning, subscribe to Hell's Road, because stories like this are far from over. By sunrise, the road outside the diner trembled beneath the weight of steel and thunder. People gathered near the windows, drawn by the sound. The waitress dropped her tray. Lena stepped back in shock. Dozens of bikers stood outside, silent, engines rumbling softly like distant drums. Ryder dismounted, took off his gloves, and walked inside. He approached the small table where Amara often sat and laid an envelope upon it. Inside, a check large enough to erase every debt, every worry, and a handwritten note that said, "For the girl who reminded me what humanity looks like." Before leaving, Ryder turned to his brothers. "We wear these colors like armor," he said, "but this isn't about war. It's about loyalty. You can carry that same spirit. The official Hell's Road gear is linked below for those who live by the code." Lena opened the envelope with trembling hands. Her breath caught as she saw the numbers. Amara didn't understand the amount, but she smiled when she saw the wings drawn in the corner of the paper. Ryder knelt down, his voice low but steady. "People like you," he said, "make the road worth riding." Amara met his gaze, fearless, pure, unbroken by the world. He stood, nodded once, and returned to his bike. 40 engines came alive again, rising like a single voice into the morning sky. The crowd outside fell silent. No one clapped, no one spoke. They just watched as the roar faded into the horizon, carrying something unseen but deeply felt. Respect. That evening, Lena hung the note behind the counter. No one dared touch it. New customers asked who had written it. The regulars simply said, "A man who found something bigger than fear." Amara kept drawing, this time pictures of motorcycles crossing mountains, free and fearless. Every day she'd look toward the road, hoping to hear that sound again. Not for the money, but for the feeling, the quiet certainty that kindness can still change a heart too heavy for hope. Some roads lead to redemption, others to memory. If you want to keep the fire alive, the official Hell's Road store is linked below, where brotherhood lives beyond the story.
Time passed. The diner remained, small, worn, but alive. Ryder never came back, not officially, but sometimes people swore they'd seen a man in black leather stop outside, leave a flower at the door, or a folded bill under a cup. Once in a while, riders from nowhere would pull over for a cup of coffee. They'd sit in silence, glance at the note on the wall, and ride off again. No words exchanged, just an unspoken promise between those who still believed that kindness doesn't need an audience. And so, between the smell of coffee and the echo of thunder, the world moved on, but something in it had quietly changed. This was one of many forgotten legends of the open road, a story where a child reminded a man that brotherhood doesn't need blood, only humanity. Subscribe to Hell's Road and ride with us into the next story.